So you may have noticed that I have not uploaded a new video in a few weeks. And I do apologize for that, but there is a reason for it. So right now I'm going through this kind of nightmare where my iMac, which has already had 2 logic board replacements and a power supply replacement this year, has now begun to randomly shut down again. And what happens is that it will shut down as if someone pulled the power plug out, no warning, no kernel panic, and then it will refuse to start up again until you unplug the power cable out the back and wait for 20, 30, 40 seconds and then plug it back in again. And then maybe it'll work for another 10 minutes or 2 hours or a day, and maybe it just won't work until you unplug it overnight. So I'm in this sort of Kafka-esque situation where when it's unplugged for a certain amount of time, then when it gets to the Apple Store, it works fine. And we've already gone through 24 hours of stress testing where it worked fine. And they evidently don't have the time to look at it for an extended period of time. So from their perspective, they can't figure out, from their perspective, the computer is fine. And, you know, with any other computer, right? With any other kind of computer, even a MacBook Pro or a laptop, I could open it up and replace the power supply, and it's what I suspect is going off here. I've already had an electrician look at the power socket to see why this might keep happening. I put it on a UPS, I've done all sorts of things, clean, install, everything you could think of to isolate the problem. Still happens. Think it's the power supply, but with an iMac, in order to do any sort of part replacement, you have to cut around the adhesive tabs and pull the glass off, and the whole process just seems so fraught with potential danger for me, because I am incredibly clumsy, that I just give up, honestly. And anyone who wants to ask me what do I think about the MacBook Pro, the iMac Pro, gonna tell you the same reason. iMacs are basically laptops that are entombed within a very thin aluminium case, and even more so than a MacBook where there are screws that you can unscrew. You really can't service these things yourself. And I think it's fine if you're like a production house where you replace your computers every 3 years once the warranty expires, which is what I've observed big enterprises doing. They just basically just get rid of, toss out, or sell or liquidate computers after 3 years. That's great if you want to buy an iMac Pro, and it'll probably work reliably for that time. But if you want it to work a lot longer than that, then you can't upgrade them, you can't service them, you can't do anything with them. So I've learnt my lesson. I give up on the iMac and I am building a PC. So here's my new PC. Check it out. Check out the graphics. Isn't it amazing? No, I'm showing you this old Digimon because partially as an explanation of like what I've been doing over the past weeks besides dealing with the iMac, is that I've been clearing out all my junk via the Maria Kondo method. And one of the things that I learned is that I have a lot of stuff that is worth something to someone on eBay. Case in point, I found this old Digimon in my drawer, and it was, you know, I changed the batteries and it still works, and evidently these things are worth $70 to people. And I've just been hustling and going to the post office every day, just selling all this stuff. And initially I was saving up all that money for a potential computer replacement, which I knew I was going to have to do next year anyway. But now that money has gone towards this here. So here's the whole collection. So I'll go through everything pretty briefly, and I'm not going to say that I'm an amazing system builder or that I really know what I'm doing, but if you were just kind of curious about the choice in components that I made, number one is, we'll start with the case. This is a Cooler Master Mastercase Pro 3, so this is the Micro ATX version. And the reason why I chose this case is because number one, it has high airflow, which is going to be sort of important because one of the spare things that this computer is going to be doing when I'm not using it to video edit or to play games is it's going to be doing some crypto mining. So yes, I am one of those terrible people who have bought a bunch of high-end gear and pushed up the prices for everyone. I apologize, but it actually, according to my calculations, as long as everything holds all right, it will help offset the price of a lot of this stuff, which is kind of cool. And if not, then I'll still be left with a very nice computer, which is cool. So, Mastercase Pro 3, the reason why I went with this is because it has handles. And the space that I'm putting this PC in is very difficult to pull the computer in and out of. So I figure I'll save myself some trouble, go with handles, and that's also why I'm going with micro ATX, because it's a bit shorter, and I do not want to kill my back because I actually have twisted my back trying to get stuff in and out of the little cubby hole where the computer will live. And then this then determined the next choice, which was the Core i7-8700K with a Z370 motherboard, again, micro ATX. I wanted to go with AMD actually. I wanted to build a Ryzen computer because it seemed just a little bit better value. But the problem is I could not find a micro ATX board that had two PCIe slots for SLI that supported the AM4 socket. So I had to go with this guy, and this was pretty hard to find as well. But that would be 8700K, and from what I can tell, the benchmarks look good for this for, you know, mixed work, content creation, video editing, and gaming. So I'm hoping that will last for quite some time. I'm not pairing it with a particularly amazing cooler. I was thinking of going like an all-in-one closed-loop water cooler, but numerous people pointed out to me, look, if it really does start to leak, your whole computer is toast. So I understand the wisdom in that, especially with my own kind of clumsiness. I'm not planning to do any sort of serious overclocking. In fact, I'm probably going to undervolt the machine because I want it to run as quietly and as coolly as possible. So we're going with this pretty kind of standard Cooler Master Hyper 212X cooler, which is apparently pretty popular and should be okay with the i7 at stock speeds. So we have the PSU here, which is probably overkill for the single one of these. It's a Corsair HX1000, but I hope within a few months, depending on how this whole crypto mining thing shakes out, I might get a second one of these. So that's where the HX1000 comes in handy. So again, I got a GTX 1080. You cannot get Vega cards in Australia, as far as I can tell. Could not find stock. I do think I'll end up buying a G-Sync monitor as well, because I've had a positive experience with that with my laptop. So this is a Asus Strix GTX 1080 Ti. I didn't get one with an overclock or anything like that. In fact, again, I want to see if it's possible to run this card as quietly and as coolly as possible. I know a lot of people are going to say, you know, crypto mining and quiet are the antithesis of each other. But look, I didn't buy this specifically for crypto mining. I bought it where, you know, having that run in the background and to soak up the excess power would be a nice thing. It would help to offset the price of all this equipment just a little bit. I got this RAM 32 gig sticks. The reason why I went with the slightly more expensive route of going 2 times 16 gig sticks is because number one, I can add more sticks later if I ever want to go to 64, which I assume I won't, but let's say one day I do. And the other thing is that with 2 sticks, I'm going to be fine as far as RAM clearance goes with the CPU cooler or any other kind of CPU cooler that I might choose in the future. So that's sort of where I was going with that. I would have liked to pick up the ones with the LEDs and have it all flash, but again, it wasn't in stock, and it's going to live in a cubby hole where I can't actually see into the case window anyway, so you know, that's a bit of a letdown. I got some extra case fans just for the front intakes. These Corsair ML140s, which apparently are very quiet at 1200 RPMs. The blades are white on this because I got the twin pack of the twin value pack So I don't know if they'll actually show through the front of the case. I don't think it's going to be a big deal. I didn't go with LED lights or anything like that because honestly, I'm not really... I'd like a subtle kind of purple glow from the case, but I don't really need it to look like it's the Hong Kong skyline at nighttime or something. So that is apparently a decent fan, and I'm sure someone in the comments is going to start telling me that I should have done this and should have done that. A lot of these choices, I swear, were only because the items were in stock, and I cannot, I can't live without a working desktop computer at the moment. I got a 1 terabyte 960 Evo M2 card. Probably going to get another spinning disk for kind of media storage, but for games and for OS, that's where it's going to live, and 1 TB is a lot. You know, I worked out that I probably only need about 200, 300 gigs for OS and sort of content creation apps and media, you know, video editing, video capture kind of stuff. So that's gonna last a while, I suspect. And last but not least, thermal paste. I went with the Noctua NT H1 stuff because I've used it in the past, worked out all right. I know how it works. I know you could probably get some sort of like liquid metal stuff. That stuff honestly scares me because of the amount of masking and that sort of stuff that you had to do, and I am so clumsy. And to give you an idea of how clumsy I am, every single time I have built a computer in the past, at some point I have bled. I have sacrificed my own blood and infused it into the computer in some dark ritual to activate it. So I really do not trust myself with any sort of electrically conductive thermal paste. But anyway, that's the whole kit. Let me know what you think. I'm not going to do a build video because that will probably just be a video of me cutting myself and swearing and sweating and all that kind of stuff. But I will let you know how it all goes once it's all done. So let me know in the comments and see ya.